Happy May, everyone. It is crazy to think that we are halfway through the season. With that being said, I wanted to give you a reminder of some big important tips through maintaining through the season. It is a very common time where injuries start occurring. Um, Decreased motivation or mental exhaustion starts occurring, decreased performance, and poor strength to weight ratio. Maybe because your training isn't as focused, your nutrition isn't as focused, your sleep is off, you're prioritizing, the wrong things. It'd be like going out and partying versus being able to prepare your body for optimal football performance. I like to always bring this topic back. The first thing we're going to go into is preventing injuries. The number one thing you can do is obviously take full advantage of participating in the strength conditioning sessions with Olu. He works very hard on them and adequately makes sure that all of your joints, your muscles, and all of the performance cues that you have to do are met. Doing additional stretching, mobility, and active recovery, like maybe some yoga or going for a walk or just casual bike ride. Getting ample sleep, minimally 8 to 10 hours a night. If you are getting up at 5 in the morning for practice, you should be sleeping by 9. If you're not, you're kind of doing yourself a disservice. Your body needs at least 8 hours to prepare. And then even adding in a nap after lunch or something could be helpful too. But as long as you could still continue to sleep throughout the whole night, that's most important. I don't want you to add in a nap if that hinders with your sleeping process at night. Also, just getting enough food in general. Ideally, it would be whole foods, nutritious foods, but just getting enough food in general is important for preventing injuries. And then consuming enough protein so that your muscles are strong and they're recovering and all the tendons, ligaments, and muscles are synthesizing new fibers. The second thing that I want to talk about was decreased motivation and just mental health throughout this time. Because of your busy schedules, the amount of training volume that you have, the expectations to perform at your high level, not getting cut from the team, like all of these things obviously are super important and wanting to start. And so you need to make sure you're taking time for yourself and practicing self-care, whether that's reading, going for a walk, spending time with your teammates, going outside, calling family or friends, being able to make sure that you're really able to take something for yourself, whether it's even just 10 to 15 minutes, to really focus on what makes you happy. Also, getting a consistent routine is really important. That really will help you control more of your day. Anxiety obviously comes from things that we can't control. And so if you know you're waking up at 5 a.m., you want to leave the house at 5:30 to get to the training session in the morning for 6, actually get up at 5:30, set an alarm, think of a routine. Maybe you want to make breakfast and then you want to drink some coffee, and then you want, brush your teeth and just hang out for a couple minutes and watch TV. You need to know what you're doing because that will allow you to be more successful versus just every day waking up, silencing your alarm and just winging it. Another thing is remembering that doing your best looks different every single day. Obviously, at this high of a level, it's really hard when you're maybe not feeling the best and you still have to perform at a high level. But just know that if your body's really tired, get extra rest. If you feel more energized some days, take advantage of that. Do something creative. Be able to, go for a bike ride or something. But being able to understand that every day your 100% will look different. Then lastly, practicing mindfulness and self-talk, which are two things that our mental performance specialist, Derek, can help you with. Obviously, negative self-talk will make you feel bad about yourself, or just not helpful self-talk. So reframing that maybe into something positive, asking him ways that you can do that. Also just practicing some mindfulness, when you're outside for a walk, like use your 5 senses. What are you listening to? Maybe try some meditation. Or if you are at practice and you're, getting down on yourself, be able to understand those thoughts are coming into your brain, but they don't mean anything. You're not attaching any emotion to them. They're just kind of like there and going away. So those are really helpful things that I think if you struggle with the motivation or kind of like the mental side of things, Derek can really help you with. Another thing that can occur is decreased performance. So to prevent that, we want to make sure that we're staying hydrated. Drink at least your body weight in ounces of water. So if you're 200 pounds, drinking at least 100 ounces of water. Obviously, if you sweat more than the average person, drink some more, or if you're outside. Drink your electrolytes, especially leading up to any games, or if you notice that you're starting to feel a little bit dehydrated, or if your urine's a little bit more yellow than normal. And then also add some salt to your foods. Ideally, you should be eating more whole foods, and so they don't naturally have salt on them. And so making sure that you have enough electrolytes and some salt. Obviously, if you do eat more like processed, saltier foods, that's kind of taken care of for you. And no, this is not an excuse to just go eat a bunch of chips, but sodium at the end of the day is an electrolyte. Eat balanced, nourishing meals and snacks. So you want to make sure you're having all 4 components in your meals. So protein, carb, healthy fat, and your nutrient, which is a fruit or vegetable. When you're having a snack, you want to make sure you have a protein, something else. So every meal and snack should have a protein source. But do not forget about your micronutrients. Vegetables and fruits, you want around 5 to 9 servings a day, which may seem like a lot, but that's something that I can help you with and figure out how you can sneak more nutrients into your day. Because at the end, when you think about it, maybe you won't know this, but your macronutrients, your carbs, your protein, and your fats cannot metabolize and absorb and just do what they're supposed to without the right micronutrients and specific vitamins and minerals. Your body chemically functions off vitamins and minerals. And so it's a weird thing to think about, but if you're not eating fruits and vegetables, you're actually not optimizing your protein synthesis. You're not optimizing your carbohydrates, energy, and all of those things. And then utilizing nutrient timing and pregame nutrition to amplify performance during the games, making sure you're fueled for the game or the training session so you're able to push harder at that time and get overall benefits. And then optimizing post-workout nutrition so your body recovers properly throughout the week. It's really important to make sure after all your practices and all of your training sessions with Olu that you are recovering well, because that recovery process is really going to affect you on the weekend when you have your games. If you are not recovered, you're going to have sore, tight, immobile muscles. That's going to make you not be able to catch, throw, run, jump, push as hard. So before a workout for nutrition, you want to have a pre-workout snack. So this is for some people in the morning if they don't like having a whole breakfast. I still recommend having a snack. And this also is an example of between your lifting sessions with Olu and then also your practice. This is something that you want to have to make sure you're recovering from the training session, but also having enough fuel for the practice. So the pre-workout snack is going to be anything that you eat that's kind of small, very carbohydrate rich, a little bit of protein, not much fat and fiber, because you want it to absorb really quickly. It's going to give you concentrated energy that you can absorb right into your muscles and use for energy. And then that will be around 30 to 60 minutes before your exercise. Again, shouldn't be too big, so it doesn't really hinder your ability to move and you get nauseous or stomach upset or anything. Some examples could be a banana and peanut butter, oatmeal and a scoop of protein powder in there, bagel or English muffin with peanut butter, granola bar and a string cheese, small bowl of cereal or granola with some milk, and then maybe like a low-fat yogurt and berries. So these are things where you want to have carbs and a little bit of protein to make sure, like I said, that you are providing yourself enough quick energy, but also preventing the muscle decay. And then again, between training in the morning and then practice, you in a sense have to 2-in-1, recover from training and then get more energy for practice. And so these snacks in between are super important. Next would be the fueling during exercise. You probably don't have to worry about this as much throughout practice and training since it isn't as long. Although if your practices are running to like 2 hours, I mean, you definitely probably around like half the way through would want some sort of carbohydrate source. Maybe it's just like a Gatorade or a sports drink at that point. But I know for a fact throughout your games, you guys will have this that you can snack on before and after the game and throughout the game and at halftime, which I really, really encourage, especially at halftime, to replenish for the last half of the game. So this would be anything that's super high carb. That's pretty much it. So a sports drink, which is generally pretty high in sugar, what you need to have energy. a small banana or a half of a large banana, orange slices, fruit snacks, dried fruit like craisins, That's It bars, which are on the slide. I really like those because it's just a stick of dried fruit and really clean ingredients. Cliff bars or granola bars are pretty high in carbohydrates. And also pretzels. People like goldfish sometimes, things like that too. And since, like I said, really provide you quick, easily digestive sugar. Right after exercise, you want to make sure you're having a snack. So an example of this would be that snack right after training and before practice, or a snack right after practice while you're going home and making your lunch, or you're going out to eat and using a voucher for lunch. You want to make sure after practice you're bringing something with you with a protein and a carb. You need to have two options, two things, protein and a carb for a meal, for a snack after exercise, because the carbohydrates will replenish your glycogen stores, which is just the energy and the sugar you used to exercise throughout the previous last hour or two. And then also the protein to recover your muscles and prevent them from decaying and start the recovery process. So the sooner the better for this. I would say within 30 minutes for sure. Like I said, well, the time that it takes for you to leave, go home, shower, get ready, make lunch, or go out to eat, like you should have already had a snack by then. So then you can have your full meal after the snack. And this can be like a protein smoothie. It could be a chocolate milk. It could be tuna or peanut butter with some whole grain crackers, cottage cheese or Greek yogurt with some fruit, protein shake, banana. Super easy. Just making sure that you're having a protein and a carb. And then we'll go into the full post-exercise meal. This would be your lunch, right? Or this would be, yeah, generally it's your lunch or the meal that you would eat after a game, which probably be like a 9 o'clock dinner. But anyways, it's going to be just a full meal. So your 4 components, your carbs, protein, fats, nutrients, fruits and vegetables, to make sure that you're refilling all your carbohydrate energy, your muscle recovery, allowing your body to chemically metabolize things properly with the vegetables and the fruits, making sure that you're helping your nervous system, and all these things that healthy fats are good for. So just eating a full meal is super important, and that you would want to have done within 2 hours of practice or exercise. So this is just me giving you tip after tip for general rules and expectations if you're trying to reach your optimal performance through nutrition. So eating large post-workout or post-game meals, you just burned a lot of energy, and athletes need a lot of food throughout the day. Although I understand when you're exercising or training for like 4 to 5 hours, it can be very hard to eat large meals because you just don't want to feel too heavy or too full. So once you're done with the exercise, really load up on a really good, high nutrient dense meal. Just eating large dinners in general, because you have the whole night to kind of process that and digest it, metabolize it before morning, where say maybe you ate a big breakfast, you have to go into like 3 to 4 hours of exercise right after that. So that wouldn't be super helpful, and you might find some stomach discomfort with that. So really big dinners are helpful. Pre-workout snacks and meals, and eat portions of food that feel good. Some people tell me, I don't like eating breakfast in the morning, I feel full. And I'm like, okay, can you eat like 1 banana or something? So trying to eat something, if your body can handle a full breakfast, great. If it doesn't, no problem. Just doing what feels best for you so you're not getting your stomach upset throughout exercise. Use practices to figure out what foods feel best in your body. So an example of this would be when I've worked with people, they'd say they had breakfast sausage at the Hawthorne's breakfast bar, and they just felt really, really bad throughout the training session and practice because it's like a really fatty processed meat. And so it's not going to break down super well. It's not going to give you really clean fueled energy. And so I'm happy that that person practiced that food before practice to figure out, hey, this doesn't feel good for me. This doesn't work well for me. So then you don't make that mistake leading into a game. You never want to try new foods right before a game because you have no idea how your body's going to respond to them. Taking advantage of protein shakes after lifts, practices, and games. It's a really portable, convenient protein source food. And so you can just fill it with water, get your powder and fill it with water from the bubbler afterwards. It's really easy, and it helps recover your muscles quicker. Eating your post-workout game dinner as soon as possible. I know that you guys debrief after games and you meet and shower and whatnot, but trying to eat there as soon as you can, or at least for sure having a post-workout snack immediately, knowing that maybe you won't be able to eat your meal for an hour or an hour and a half, because then you have to wait for your meal to come out and to order it and everything. Bring a post-workout snack if you need to wait before before you eat your meal. So a lot of times people will come from practice if there's like an early treatment time. Say you're like, oh, I have to go right from practice to treatment, or I have to go right from practice to work, I have to go right from practice to running errands. Know that ahead of time and bring your snack with you. You don't want to be unprepared. Drink a lot of water throughout the whole day, except I would say 2 hours leading up to your games. Cut back on drinking a lot of water, and then you just want to maintain sipping it so you're already at your full hydration level. Your urine should be very, very clear, pale yellow, and now you're just having small sips of water every 10 to 15 minutes just to maintain your hydration level, but you've already reached your peak prior to that. Instead of drinking a whole bunch of water leading up to a game and then you feel heavy, bloated, and have to go to the bathroom throughout the game. And lastly, on game days, like I said previously, choose reliable foods that you know digest well. This is not a time to experiment. Your experimenting comes in practice. So figure out what feels good for you, how much food feels good for you, what types of foods feel good for you, and just stick to those for game days. So I kind of like to prepare the body 48 hours prior to the game. So if you have a Saturday game, Thursday, you're already starting to think about how you can prepare and fuel your body for the game. So 36 to 48 hours leading up to the game, you should start eating more carbohydrates. Obviously, don't just cut out your protein and vegetables and stuff, but just figure out how you can still reach your protein goal, but increasing more carbohydrates. Maybe it's eating higher calorie carb foods like rice versus a sweet potato. Like, they both have carbs, but rice is a little bit more dense. Rice versus quinoa is a little bit more dense in carbohydrates. Switching maybe from, trying to think, from like almond milk to regular milk, because there's more sugar in regular milk. So just being able to start increasing your carbohydrate intake leading up to that time. That will help your performance. Increasing your water for properly hydrated muscles is super important, but like I said, 2 hours beforehand, stop drinking a super lot of water because you want to get that water out of your body before the game. Make sure you're still consuming ample protein. You cannot miss your protein intake. Work on mobility, flexibility, and active recovery. Make sure your muscles, your joints, everything is feeling good and loose for the game. If you're not, talk to Becky, the athletic trainer. Figure out how you can get your body feeling its best. And then minimize any irritating foods that prevent GI upset during the game. So like if you're lactose intolerant and you continue to eat dairy products like cheese or something, you're doing yourself a disservice because you're inflaming your body internally. Once your body's inflamed, your muscle recovery goes down, performance goes down, just your body just is inflamed. It's not working well. So if you tend to eat like, say you eat like pizza or french fries and you don't feel really great after that because it's very processed food, do not eat them within 48 hours of your game. Within 48 hours, it is the cleanest, most appropriate food you can get that you know works well for your body. Day of the game, eat your pre-game meal 3 to 4 hours before the game. Have plenty of carbs, protein, a little bit of fat, fruits and vegetables, but just like making sure you're having a lot of carbs at that time. Don't experiment with new foods. Hydration, like I said, 2 hours before the game, you should probably you should stop drinking. So within 2 hours of the game, I would say you can probably drink like a half of your Gatorade bottle from that time, but you don't want to do more than that because, again, you should already be hydrated from preparing yourself for the last 48 hours, and now you're just maintaining that hydration level. Decrease consumption leading up to the game, and then like And then also throughout the game, make sure that you're taking water and even Gatorade if you need to, their electrolyte drinks, 10 to 15 minutes. Even if you're not playing at that moment, like still just make sure your body stays hydrated. Obviously, if you are playing a lot, you might need to have it more frequent than that. You might need it more like every time the whistle blows, you need to have someone rush to you with water or Gatorade, and that's totally okay, but minimally 10 to 15 minutes. And then the pregame snack, I know that they supply the snacks for you guys. I've seen them. So making sure that you're utilizing those 30 to 60 minutes before the game to really amp up your energy levels and peak your glycogen amount. And then during the game, making sure at halftime you're properly fueling with those snacks and drinking sports drinks, because halftime is a time in which you can allow your stomach some time to recover and just focus on digestion. And lastly is I generally see strength to weight ratio start going down throughout this time because people are not eating enough food, pure and simple, they're not eating enough food, and so their body composition decreases, their muscle mass goes down because they are not maintaining their muscle mass, or people are not doing, maybe in the beginning they were very focused and now they're not as focused. Maybe they started going out on the weekends more, partying more, drinking more, or, not being as clean with their eating as they were when they first got here. So I generally see that occurring. You need to make sure you're pushing hard at all your training sessions, keeping your muscle mass, growing it, eat the right foods, clean it up. If you don't feel like you're doing well, meet with me, drink enough water, and make sure your muscles are hydrated. Get enough sleep. This is super important. I will never stop talking about how important sleep is. If you don't get a good night's sleep, you will not recover. Your muscles, in sense, are just going to hurt a lot more. You're going to have worse delayed onset muscle soreness. You're going to have worse energy for performing at your games and at your exercise sessions. So sleep is very vital. Consuming enough protein throughout the whole day is very important because you need to get to your protein goal, which is take your body weight times 0.6 to 0.8. That would be the range in which you could work on. And if you feel like you're not there, meet with me, we'll figure out how to get you there. And just to work up to that, focus on eating a protein with all your meals and snacks. And also for sure after exercise. So again, between your training session in the morning and practice, and then after practice, you really need that post-exercise protein. If you are not maintaining your weight, or improving your strength to weight ratio because maybe you're gaining weight, on one weight you're losing muscle, whatever is going on, see me ASAP, talk to Olu, see what he can do to help you, figuring out how we can adapt the nutrition and the training to help improve your strength to weight ratio again. Supplements I get asked about a lot are these 4. So should you take creatine? I think creatine's honestly pretty helpful for you. It's very underutilized. I want to make sure that when you use it, though, you're using it properly, and also making sure you're getting creatine monohydrate. That is the best, most researched form. Using the loading phase appropriately, so 15 to 25 grams for 5 to 7 days, or well tolerated. And then after you reach your loading phase and you're at the top and you're at the peak, then you can drop back down to around like 5 grams a day. And if you don't tolerate that well at one time, split it into 2 different servings, like 2.5 in the morning, 2.5 at night. If you don't feel like the loading phase is working well for you, you're getting very bad GI issues, you don't need to do the loading phase. You can just slowly reach your peak, but just know it'll take longer. And then protein powder, I'm a huge fan of it. I think it's very helpful for you with recovering from your injuries, recovering from your exercise, helping you reach your protein goal because you have such a high need for protein because you're large athletes with a lot of muscle mass. So it can be very hard to just eat that much food with protein in it. So it's just a helpful way to get there. Ample protein intake is needed when training and when you're injured. If you're seeing Becky for any sort of prehab or rehab, you should be taking your protein consumption very seriously. And then pre-workout, I get asked about. I think it's helpful. I like it, but you don't have to use it. None of these things you have to use. Like, it's important that you're getting enough protein powder. If you can eat enough protein without it, perfect. Creatine, I recommend, but again, you don't have to do any of it. Pre-workout, it's really just, number one, what's most important is having a pre-workout snack. So that is the most important thing, having actual food to fuel your body. And then number two, the biggest thing about pre-workout is just caffeine. So like, if you just have a little cup of coffee, that generally works similar too. But if you're like me, I just like a taste of my pre-workout, so I just really like taking it. But it's totally up to you. There is research that supports it, but you don't have to take it if you don't want to. And then I a lot of times will say, if you do not eat enough fruits and vegetables, you should be getting 5 to 9 servings a day if that's not where you are. Supplementing with a vitamin, multivitamin is really helpful, or even like a greens powder. I'm sure you'll see them around. They work very similar, but you need nutrients. Do I prefer you get them through food? Yes, but if you're not getting them at all, that's not helping you. So at least minimally take your multivitamins and do your green powders. Supplement tips. Number one, it's always best to focus on eating enough proteins, carbs, and total calories, getting enough sleep, staying hydrated. And those things all should come first. But supplements can be helpful in filling in the gaps. So trying out new supplements on practice days, again, never on a game day, to see how it works for you. So if you had an adverse reaction, maybe you get too tingly or something, or maybe it doesn't sit well in your stomach, then at least you're not going to have that issue occurring throughout the game. Do your research on reliable brands. It is super important to make sure that what you think you're putting in your body, you are putting in your body. If you need any recommendations on brands, you can come to me and ask. And then this is just a tip for anyone who plans on playing in maybe like the NFL or like a different league. Most of those leagues do require drug tests, and so you have to make sure you're using supplements that are NSF Sports certified. And so that means that they have gone through specific testing, like third-party monitoring, to make sure that what they say is in there is actually in there. There's no artificial supplements or artificial vitamins or ingredients in there. It's very safe for you to use, and you will always pass the drug test. Because technically with supplements, they don't have to tell the truth. The FDA does not regulate them. And so it can just be a very touchy subject if you are not using a reliable source for your supplements. That brings me to the end of the presentation. I hope you found this topic helpful. I've just noticed that these 4 things really pop up throughout sports seasons. If you have any questions about any of this, email me. I'm a quick email away, or if you see me in the clinic, just ask me, wave me down. But if you want any specific personal help, tell the athletic trainer, Becky, get a scheduled one-on-one appointment with me, and then we can figure out how we can start implementing these strategies into your specific schedule, time commitments, financial ability, and all the things that are really individualized that I can't necessarily go into in detail on a full team presentation. Hope you guys have a great month.